Hello, my name is Steven Zarita, and welcome to another Hyperdrive Pictures VFX tutorial. This week, we're going to show you how to do this.
It's morphin' time.
Pass it on!
No. I'm not doing this.
Triceratops!
This is really racist. Y'all didn't even ask me if I wanted to morph.
Tyrannosaurus!
So, first a little bit of backstory, but if you want, you can just skip right ahead to the tutorial with the annotations down here and around with all those chapter markers. But 5 years ago, I released a video on my first YouTube channel, youtube.com/Zojita, where I was morphing with a bunch of friends, which was a teaser for a Power Rangers video I was trying to make. But we had all just graduated high school and we were moving off to college, so we could never finish it. Nevertheless, with the morphing video up, which was my most viewed video on that channel, everybody was asking me, hey, how'd you do that effect and can you show me how to do it? Well, finally, 5 years later, I'm going to show you how to morph. And all you need is a copy of After Effects, a green screen, and a green shirt. So, let's jump right into it. First thing you're going to want to do is film your actors wearing said green shirt in front of said green screen.
Saber-tooth tiger!
This is not what I signed up for.
You're also going to need the Morpher prop. If you don't have the Morpher prop and think you missed your chance because they made those, 20 years ago? I've got good news for you because they're re-releasing it as a legacy Morpher. It's a collectible item. It's kind of hard to get. You can't really find them inside of a Toys R Us, which is where most people look, though that's where they're supposed to be. They're in very limited supply. But if you order them online for about 70 bucks, you can get it. And you might say, 70 bucks? That's a lot. But you know what? I think it's worth it. It's a collector's item. They made it out of die-cast metal. It's much heavier than the original one they released 20 years ago. Much better quality. But if you've got the original toy, that works as well. I've got both. We use the original toy for the video and the die-cast morpher for the picture, which we'll be touching on later. So, inside of After Effects, what we're going to do is take our footage and just make a new comp. So we're going to start off by keying this out. So, unfortunately, the color shirt and the color of the green screen isn't the exact same shade of green as you can see here, but we can work around that. So, what we're going to start doing is first mask out the area we know we don't need. So, if we do this, the computer only has to focus on this much green, because the keying we're about to do is going to be very render intensive, and the first time I rendered this it took about 3 hours for all 5 morphs together. So we've got that key masked out. We're going to start off with key light. We're also going to start off with a regular color key. So let's collapse these. Starting off with the color key, we'll put this up top and we'll just grab the green back here. We're going to just bump up the tolerance. And that pretty much takes care of the green screen. And we're already getting bits of the shirt taken out, which is good. And this is where key light comes in. So we're going to turn on key light, select the shirt. It's already disappearing, which is good. We're going to go to Screen Matte. Then go to the Screen Matte tab, Clip Black. So we're going to bump this up. Now, another thing I would recommend, because I noticed this while I was filming, is try to get a shirt that's maybe tighter. The shirt I was wearing was a large. It was the same shirt that everybody wore, but because of that, we get all these wrinkles here, which the key light plugin doesn't get rid of. If you can get a tighter shirt, maybe like those spandexy shirts that some people wear when they're running or work out, that's green, that would work much better. Odds are that one won't wrinkle as much. Or if you don't want to do the shirt thing, you don't have to. You can just wear whatever color you normally wear, and the wrinkles there are supposed to be there. But I'm going after a Season 1 morph kind of thing where their torsos are invisible. So I'm going to try to get rid of as much of the shirt as possible. So let's go back into Screen Matte. I can see that I'm losing some of my chin here. We don't want that. So we're going to go back to Clip Black, bring it down a bit. Clip White, bring that down, see if that'll bring the chin back, which it does. And there we go. So around me and my arms in the Morpher, it's solid. I'm going to go to final result, and there we go. So let's close off our key by first softening it up, 2 pixels. There we go, that's much better. Now, next thing you want to do is get rid of all this black. Well, here's what you can do. You can mask it out by going to the pen tool and just masking around the black like so. And we'll set mode to subtract, keyframe the mask path, and set the feather to 3 pixels. So you can see we've gotten rid of most of the black. There's a little bit here, we can get that with another mask. Subtract 3 pixels, and again, keyframe the mask path. So here comes the boring part, but the necessary part. Set these to none so that way you can see what's underneath, and then about every 3 or 4 frames or so, keyframe your masks so that way you don't end up chopping off your arms or anything like that. Okay, so I've gone ahead and masked everything out. I did a little rough for the tutorial, but get as precise as you need to be, do as many keyframes as you need. It all depends on the movement within your footage. But we're going to set these back to subtract, and you'll see that this looks pretty good. Alright, so the key is done. We're going to turn this off. Next thing we want to do is work on the lightning that's happening behind us. So we're going to go make a new layer, make it a solid. We're going to call it lightning. 1920 by 1080. There we go. So we're going to go to generate advanced lightning. And we're going to be making a lot of these. So we're going to take that lightning, put it underneath the morph, and pre-compose it. And we'll just call it lightning comp 1. That sounds great. Move all attributes into the new composition. Open up that new comp. And the reason we're making this new comp is so that way we can use this, and all we have to do is change the color, but we can use this for each different ranger morph. And we're going to just make a bland black and white version that we can modify for later. So we're going to make another solid. This is just going to be our background. It's going to go underneath the lightning. And on top of it, we're going to first get rid of this glow, because I never liked the default glow. So we're going to turn the opacity down to 0 and the glow radius down to 0, so nothing is there, or 1. I'm going to take those core settings, let's bump the opacity, bump up the radius to 3.5, and then we're going to start placing it on the corners. So just on each corner, right there, like so. And then we want this thing to move, because if you scrub through it, nothing's happening. So we're going to go to conductivity status. We're going to alt-click it. We're going to say time times 70. Let's just see how that looks. That's pretty good. So we've got some motion there. Next thing we're going to do is going to duplicate it. Like I said, we're going to be having a ton of these. So we're going to go back into it. And on the second layer, we're going to do this corner. Duplicate. Next layer. Top to bottom. So you're getting the idea. We're just kind of covering every single angle.
Pterodactyl! Pterodactyl! Pterodactyl!
Alright, so that's what? 9 layers including the background. So 8 layers of lightning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what is that, like every 30 degrees or so? I don't know math. Anyways, we got all that lightning there. Let's make it glow. But first, we're going to make it displace. With turbulent displace. Sounded like a really bad ad. So we're going to go to distort, turbulent displace. And the reason I like using this is because lightning, I think, at least the plugin, comes out as too straight and looks too computer generated. Adding the turbulent displace kind of distorts it a little bit and makes it look a little bit more realistic. So we're going to turn down the size, kind of give these lightning bolts a little bit more curve to them, turn up the amount a bit, so 55. Then go to evolution, time times 70. And again, you can use whatever number you want, and this expression just makes it self-animate. You can hit it by alt-clicking the stopwatch. There we go. Next thing we're going to do is title this displacement just so we can remember what it's doing. Then we're going to make another layer, new adjustment layer. We're going to call this blur. We're going to set it to screen, and you might remember this from one of our previous tutorials on the tesseract, and this is what I'm going to refer to as the Ryan Weber method of adding glows, since this is how he adds glows to lightsabers. So we're going to set the transfer mode to screen, go to Gaussian blur, bring it up, and we're going to blur this, 8 pixels. How does that look? Let's go for 20. Yeah, that's a good starting glow. And you can see we're kind of losing the edge there because it's blurring our background along with everything else. Easy fix, just go to the background, scale it up. Alright, that's good for the first blur. We're going to duplicate it, make the second version 40 pixels. We're going to halve this because it's going to start getting render intensive here. Duplicate again. We're going to double it instead of doing another 20 because lightning, you really want the glow to spread out. 80 pixels. And then one more. Let's go with 240.
Packing it up. Okay, bye. Not doing it, guys. See ya.
That looks good. Now, are we losing our background? We are, so let's scale it up even more. There we go. So now we've got our lightning. So we're going to go back into our morph comp. Turn my layer back on. Let's center me up a bit. And then we're going to give this some color. So we're going to go into Effect, Color Correction, Color Balance. Mid-tone reds all the way, highlight reds all the way, preserve that luminosity, and there we've got our background. And if we ever want more lightning, and it looks like we might, we can always go in and add some, but keep in mind, we're going to be all inside of that morpher, so we're really only going to see this section. And if you just scrub through here and there, you'll see that there's already a lot of lightning there. So if you want more, you can add more. So I can see a little bit of a problem right here. We're going to modify the mask really quick. And actually, we'll change this from red morph to morphing sequence. So I got that part wrong. We're going to take the two layers, we're going to pre-compose that, and this will be our red morph. So there's a red morph, a yellow morph, a blue morph, one for each range or color. And then I would bring them all into the morphing sequence. So you can then take your picture of your legacy morpher, and if you don't have one, I got you covered, because I took the picture. And you can find this picture on our Facebook page, which is linked below. And while you're there, give it a like. It really helps us out. You can keep track of what we're doing there on Facebook and find more tutorials and more videos every week. And we also upload behind-the-scenes pictures, which are pretty funny. I think we're going to start doing caption contests, which those seem to be popular too. Anyways, we're going to scale it up so our morpher just fits within the frame. Then we're going to start masking away. So we're going to just pen tool, drag. We're just going to mask around the morpher. Okay. Let's bring that in. So we've gotten rid of the background. And that right there looks kind of cool. Let's turn off red morph. Now we need to get the inside. And we're not going to subtract the inside with another mask. What we're going to do is make a matte. So we'll call this matte. Turn it off. And then with matte selected, we're going to get rid of the insides. And what I'm going to start by doing is using a couple ellipses to get rid of these sections, because they're so round you might as well just use a circle. Subtract. I'll feather the mask. You know what, we should probably feather the mask on the first one too. I always think 3 pixels is a good starting point for feathering. So we're going to duplicate that mask, bring it up top. That handles that. Move it to the left a couple pixels. Now all we have to do is the jagged parts right here. So let's go in and add that same feather to all of these. So 3 pixels. There we go. Everything has 3 pixels when you select them all like that. Okay. So we're getting really close here. Set to add. Set to add. And we've got a little bit of unmasked pixel, so we're just going to drag these in. There we go. That's what I like to see. So what we're going to do now is take our red morph, put it up top. Then we're going to set its transfer mode to alpha matte. So now only where that black matte was is our morph. And you can see where it's already coming together. I'm going to change the transparency so I don't see this grid, and the next thing we'll do is actually rotate this a little bit, because first parent it to the picture, but the rotation looks off, so we're going to put it 2 degrees to the right. Maybe just 1 degree. There we go. And you know what? It looks like the lightning is a little too intense, so we're going to go back into the lightning comp. Go to that last layer, and we're going to set it to 66%.
It's morphin' time!
Much better, much better. We're going to do that. Okay, so let's put the background. In the background, there's always a shining light going behind the morpher. So that's super easy to do. We're going to make a new layer. We're going to call it lens flare. Move it back there. Go to Effect, Video Copilot. Optical flares. Let's go to light. Beached. It's pretty good right there. We'll get rid of some of these elements like that really big glowing iris. And some more of the irises, because we don't want those, we just kind of want the glint and the shimmer. And then we're going to change the global color to blue. Now we've got that glow in the middle. We're going to set that color source to global as well, so it's blue. So we've got this blue lens flare. And let's get rid of those 2 layers. We're going to set this right in the middle. We're going to turn these back on again. And we're going to up the scale and the brightness. Lower the scale a bit. Up the brightness a bit. Now we're going to go to Effect and add a curves adjustment so we can get some contrast in here. So we can see those sharp lines on that shimmer there. Alright, that's good. Let's up the scale again. You can see we got too much contrast, so we'll lower the opacity, or the brightness. We're going to keep doing that until we find the right mix. Looks slightly different than the flare I used, but still pretty cool. Just use whatever lens flare you think works best. Or if you want, and I'm about to do this right now, add some more shimmers to it to make it look right. So we're going to go to Lens Match, add a glint and another shimmer. There we go. So again, let's bring this in, and that looks much better. So with that selected, we're going to do some cool evolution here. So we're going to Alt-click evolution, time times 60. Let's do 70 since we've been using that so far. We're going to Alt-click brightness, wiggle 1, 10. Alt-click scale, wiggle 1, 25. And then we're going to duplicate it. So we have 2 lens flares. This just makes it a little bit more dynamic, more interesting. We're going to set the top one to screen so we can see what's below it. It's going to look a little bright. Then we're going to Alt-click our rotation offsets. So the top one we're going to say time times 60. Then we're going to go to the bottom one, same thing, except this one's going to be time times negative 60. So they're going to be rotating in opposite directions. And it's pretty render intensive, and we'll move me off to the left a bit. Center me up a bit more. Go back to morphing sequence. Okay, so my positioning is good. Next thing I gotta do, and I forgot to do this earlier, let's add a little bit of a contrast curve to this morpher here because it's looking pretty bland. I took it on my T2i with CineStyle on, so we're gonna add some contrast. Just a quick adjustment curve. And then once you do that, it comes out as a little bit yellow because it's shining, it's reflecting the grass outside. So we're just going to pump up some blues, not too much, just enough to bring it back down to silver.
Alright, so that was part 1. Be sure to subscribe over there so you can see part 2 next week. And also subscribe because we do awesome videos every week, Wednesdays or Thursdays. They're really fun, and we also show you how to do effects and tutorials like these. So I'll see you next week. Be sure to like and comment below. Check out our Facebook page, all that fun stuff. Later!